Hey everyone, welcome to Lachlan Likes a Thing, and today we're doing first impressions of the AKG K553 Pro, which I finally received after 3 weeks of shipping from Massdrop.com. I ordered this in a Massdrop.com kind of deal for $120 US. Do you like this channel? Did you know that it is funded by contributions from awesome viewers who are just like you? And if you'd like to join them and get access to an exclusive weekly mini podcast, head on over to patreon.com/LachlanLikesAThing. And thanks. Now the K553, in case you don't know about it, is basically the K550, but manufactured in China instead of Austria. And I'm not sure if this is being manufactured in partnership with Massdrop.com. There's no branding on the box for Massdrop, but I'm not sure whether this will be sold in retail or exclusively through Massdrop. What I can tell, or what I've been reading, is that it also incorporates some of the modifications made with the AKG K551, which was sort of a portable variant of the K550. It apparently had a little more bass, a little kind of smoothed over mids, which I guess is a good thing because I found the mids somewhat irritating on the K550. I mean, it was a great headphone, but that was the one problem I had with it. I never tried the K551. Honestly, I thought it was a bit of an ugly headphone compared to the K550, so I was sort of really super keen to see the 551 modifications in a K550 shell, and that's what I think we have with the K553. Now, I won't say too much about the design of this headphone because I've already reviewed the K550, though I think it is one of the more beautiful headphone designs. I actually really love the kind of minimalist look of this headphone. But I've reviewed more headphones since then, and I am struck now by one thing about the K550 design, and it is that this headband design is really, really stupid. It looks like thin and minimalist and really nice, but there is a complete absence of cushioning, and it is sort of a rigid piece of metal here. So compared to something like the Takstar Pro 80 or another kind of traditional headband like that on the Beyerdynamic DT770, there's a lot less cushioning. You will get a lot less kind of weight distribution on your head, and that is sort of a problem for a 300-gram headphone. The earpads, on the other hand, they're still pretty shallow, and I still think that finding a seal might be difficult for some users, but they're very soft, they're quite breathable, and they have a very broad pressure distribution on the side of the face because of their sheer size. This is a very large headphone. So this is the sort of headphone that's going to feel really comfortable immediately when you put it on because of the plushness of the earpads, but over time I would expect to experience some pain over long-term listening kind of periods, maybe after 2 hours or something like that. You might get a hot spot just at the top of your head. Now, in terms of build quality, nothing seems to have been lost in translation in manufacturing in China, except that I noticed I'm getting some driver flex on the left side of this headphone. So when I put it on, and if I were to push it in and out like this quite rapidly, I can hear the driver on the left side crinkle a little, which is something that I never noticed on the K550. Not really sure if that's just an individual unit variation or a sign of broader kind of things, but just something to note. Now, in terms of sound, I don't have a completely accurate memory of the K550 sound, and I suspect some of my issues with the sound may have been due to my glasses, and now I have much kind of thinner glasses with much thinner arms, so I don't get that problem anymore with around ear headphones sealing around my face. That said, I will probably, for my final review of this headphone, go and make a visit to Minidisc just to compare the K550 and the K553 directly. I can tell you for a $120 headphone, the K553 sounds good. I'm undecided if I love all the changes to the sound signature made with the K553, but it's still roughly similar to how I remember the K550 sounding. It's still got that overall lean, sort of balanced sound to it. It doesn't have any mid-bass bloat. The mids and treble are still, have that dry, textured quality to it. So I'll break that down a bit more. The mids aren't as forward and grainy anymore. So there isn't that mid peak around 1 kilohertz that I found really irritating on the 550. So that's a good thing. The female vocals are still more forward on this headphone than the male vocals. And they still sound really detailed and textured without sounding nasal or brassy, which is great. The high frequency treble is a little bit shaved off, meaning that shimmer, that kind of S note, sort of forwardness is a little more diffuse. And I actually felt like the K553 sounded a little muffled out of the box. Because of that, I don't know if this is something that changed from the K550 or it's just something that I'm noticing now, but it doesn't sound as open as I remember the K550 sounding. It still sounds decently open for a closed headphone. The 2 points of reference I have in terms of sound are the Audio-Technica MSR7 and the Takstar Pro 80. Now the MSR7 doesn't really sort of count, I guess, because it's a portable headphone. It's not in the same size class and it's much more expensive, but it's worth mentioning because it sort of has a similar sound to the K553 with its sort of mid-forwardness. Meanwhile, the Takstar Pro 80 is actually probably the most legitimate competition I have to the 553, at least in my collection, because it's similar in price. It's around $80 compared to the $120 US here. And I finally received my replacement unit from LH Labs after my faulty Geek Pulse kind of ate my first Pro 80, and this new unit seems to have a little bit better build quality and has a straight cable, so it's nice to revisit it. And it does sound sort of similar to the K553 in that they're both sort of overall lean, balanced, somewhat dry sounding headphones. Now, compared to the 553, the Pro 80 and the MSR7, I think sound cleaner and more detailed in the treble because they're a little more forward up there. And in particular, the MSR7 is more aggressive around the S notes, around 8 kilohertz, which is going to be irritating for some people. It's a little more sibilant. The Pro 80 doesn't have that issue. As you might know, I tend to prefer a little more in the treble regions, not necessarily in the kind of S note sibilant region, but in higher frequencies, that shimmery sound where the cymbals are around 10 kilohertz. That's where I would like to see more energy from the 553. It's why I like the DT770 so much, and the Pro 80 has that in spades as well. So I wish the 553 was a little more open up there, would sound a little more airy. As for the bass, we're still getting really that exceptionally nice bass on the K550. The K553 has lows that are really tight. Initially, you might think there isn't that much bass at all until you realize that the 553 has plenty of sub bass and it digs down really, really low and it has that kind of rumbly scale, but it doesn't have much mid bass at all. So you don't get that kind of satisfying kind of thump thump, that well-rounded bass tone that you might be used to from other headphones. And if you're after that kind of sound, you're looking at more something fun sounding like the Shure SRH 1540. Of course, that's a completely different price range. Again, for comparison, both the MSR7 and the Takstar Pro 80 have a little more mid-bass and less sub-bass. So they sound a little bit more fun, a little bit more kind of, bumpy. And the MSR7 is probably the poppiest sounding of the trio in this respect. If we're just comparing like for like, I think for $120, the 553 is a good sounding headphone. Though it doesn't blow the Takstar out of the water like I might have expected. I mean, the K553 is definitely better built than the Takstar. It looks every bit the more expensive headphone, and it doesn't look like a $120 headphone at all in terms of build quality and construction. But I still think it's a bit of a toss-up as to which one actually sounds better, and it sort of depends on your preferences because neither of them sound dramatically better in terms of technical performance. They're both quite neutral and balanced sounding headphones. If you want something drier and maybe a little more ruler flat, I'd go with the K550, particularly if you're looking for a studio monitor, I guess. But if you want something with a smidge more flavor and a little bit more sparkle, I'd go with the Takstar. And personally, my pick out of the two for around $100 would still probably be the Takstar, because I think it's a better all-rounder for more genres of music. And I think that's another sign of just how fierce the competition is getting now, because it's a sort of, if you can't beat it, join them. If you can't beat them, join them effort from AKG, where they've moved production to China just to be able to compete with the local Chinese OEMs, which are just getting better and better and better every year. So sort of an exciting space to watch around that price point. Please click the like button if you found this video helpful. And another thing you might be interested in, I recently posted up my comparison of the Audio-Technica R70X with the AD1000X up on my blog. So I've linked that in the description of this video, so you can check that out. Thank you again to everyone who made it possible to get the K553 on the channel. And if you'd like to join the viewers funding the show, you can do that by heading on over to patreon.com/LachlanLikesAthing and pledging. Thanks to all my regular subscribers. You can talk to me on Facebook at facebook.com/LachlanLikesAthing or on Twitter @LachlanLikesAthing, and happy listening.